Welcome to another episode of the Online Prosperity Experience podcast. You're about to hear your host, Prosper Taravinga's powerful digital marketing strategies and actionable tactics that you can use right now. Prosper has helped more than 50,000 people from over 10 countries to create meaningful businesses that are profitable and enjoyable. Listen to this podcast so that you too can build your own business with less stress and overwhelm. Let's get started.
How to sell to executives part 2. So if you haven't listened to our previous podcast, which is episode number 40, which was talking about how to how you can literally sell to executives and what actually works for B2B consultants, I urge you to go to the to go listen to that one because it's important. We're talking about the difference between B2B and B2C marketing, where I elaborate and I explain that with B2B, you're literally selling your expertise. You're selling an expensive, custom, high-touch, service that really needs you to personalize each outreach that you're going to be doing out there. So if you haven't done anything in terms of creating personal outreaches out there, then you're literally leaving a lot of money on the table. And if you're targeting executives with custom consulting services, you're going to need a custom marketing sales approach. So jump onto that podcast before if you haven't listen to it so you get context of what we're going to be talking about today. But if you are across everything that we are talking about, welcome. It's yet another episode of the Online Prosperity Experience, where we're talking about how you literally can sell more of your product to executives and how you can get past the gatekeepers that they put in front of them. And also just looking at the bigger picture and a strategy that actually works when you're selling to executives. But obviously we need to look at what actually works when you sell to these C-suite executives. So what does actually work for selling to executives? I want you to think value over volume. Do you know a lot of people come to us with one complaint and they're like, I need more leads, I need to generate more leads, hoping that the more leads that they have, the more maybe revenue they will be able to extrapolate from those people. But I beg to differ. You know why? Because at the end of the day, you don't necessarily need a lot more volume. You need quality leads that know, like, and trust you. And we all know that people do business with those that they know, like, and trust. So here's the key principle, all right? Each executive that you're going to be reaching out should literally feel like you specifically did this outreach for them. They should be like, wow, this person is speaking directly to me and my needs. And we've established that the needs for an executive are both personal and for the business as well. So you need to be feeding 4 to 5 different mouths first before you can actually be approved as the preferred supplier of whatever service that you're going to be putting out there. So for somebody to feel like you're speaking directly at them, you have to personalize the message. You have to literally know who they are. You need to know their pain. You need to know what it is that they need to accomplish within their career, within their business, their family. What are their goals? All of those things. That's why it's very difficult to go B2B as opposed to somebody who's selling a $99 fitness course or a losing weight program to Sally, who only needs to make a decision for herself and to see if she's got enough money to spare, so that she can actually buy that product. So when you're selling B2B, you literally have to make the person who's receiving that message feel and think that you're speaking to them directly with their needs. And in the last podcast, episode number 40, I mentioned that you need to create maybe personalized videos. There's tools like Loom that you can use, or you can go on a Zoom meeting, record yourself while you're giving value to the person who's going to be the recipient of that email. So let's walk through how you'll be able to achieve that. Today, I really want to go through a lot of information. Most of the stuff you already know, but it helps to be reminded, because what you're dealing with is something ginormous. Okay, you're dealing with an organization. You're dealing with a person with their own aspirations. So you need to go into this battle prepared, all right? Because you know why? I want you as an internet explorer to have a business that's profitable and enjoyable. The one thing you need to do is get clear on your ideal client. Like I can't stress this enough, because you can't create a personalized message until you actually understand your ideal client. What are their fears? What are they anxious about? Do you know what their dreams are? Do you know what their suspicions are about working with people in your industry? Who are their enemies? What are they facing right now? What problems are they actually facing? And if we have a breakthrough call with you, if you book one with me, I'll teach you a lesson that's called ideal client clarity. We are actually helping you get clear on who your ideal client is, so you can market to them and sell more to them efficiently. And I'll also teach you how to sell more of your products and services to just one person, instead of spraying and praying with your marketing out there while it's falling on deaf ears. And maybe you're sending out hundreds of emails with not even getting a hey, thanks so much for reaching out to me. So be sure to look at ways that you can reach out to me, so I can help you identify your your target market. Now, you need to know basic details of who you are reaching out to, especially if you're doing this on LinkedIn. The industry. What industry is your ideal client in? Are they in manufacturing? Are they in legal? Are they in accounting? What exact industry are they, dealing with right now? Because certain products might not work for all industries, or you have to be specific with the use case that you're bringing to the table. And what size of business are you talking about? Size can be in terms of revenue. Size can be in terms of, seats or staff or team. All right. So how much revenue does your ideal company make? Because certain tools, systems, processes, coaching, training, consulting only works at different levels. Today, I actually had to fire a client who, first of all, negotiated on the price that we were going to sell to them. And when it came to us doing the SEO, they were very skimp on giving us access to their website. You know what I mean? That whole scarcity, I don't want to have anything to do with it in my business, is because they're looking at that price that they're paying us compared to their grocery bill, and they're thinking, oh my God, I could buy 500 samosas with why did I even think of samosas? Where's your head at, bro? Where's your head at? Yeah, so what revenue does your ideal company make? Approximately how many employees working at that company? You need to know that information. Especially if you're selling tools or software as a service. How many seats can you afford to, have in your coaching or whatever without, breaking your own, service provision? And also, location is important. Location. Where is your ideal client located in the world? Okay, because if somebody's located in a shopping center, half of the time they don't need a lot of marketing. You know why? People are already coming to the shopping center. You dig the floor. So you need to know if somebody is situated way far out of foot traffic. Yeah, then maybe your services might be of use. So you want to look at, do the people need to be connected to some sort of highway? Do they need to be connected to the internet? Location matters, because then that influences the choices and the needs of that particular client. Okay, and also within an organization, the C-suite level, do they have the ability to make a decision? Okay, the level of seniority matters. Does your ideal client have the ability to make that decision, or do you just need to feed them with ammunition so that they can take it to the boardroom where they can then discuss and actually pave way for you to be invited to that discussion? All right. And what job title are you going after? That's all B2B. We haven't even started as in their own personal needs. Right? Do they need a promotion? Do they need to look good? Do they need to, be given more responsibility at work based on who they're dealing with and what your service provision allows them to do? So their job title matters. Do you know who you're reaching out to? Especially on LinkedIn, you can just reach out to people that are managers, executives, C-suite people, people that are in digital marketing departments, finance departments. What job title do you need to be speaking to within an organization? All right. Yes, you want a company is comprised of people. All right. The people that are making the things happen, the people that have their own issues, agendas, politics. You need to know their job titles, because if you skip somebody and go to somebody who's junior to them, they can't make a decision. Or if you jump the hoop, then they can tell you to go back where you came from, and not exactly in those words, but then, you know what I mean? You're now having to go back with your tail tucked between your legs, and that other person is going to have their ego, bruised because you didn't speak to them first. Who do you think you are? So you also want to know, a few qualitative factors like what problems are they actually facing as a business or as a person? Is what you're bringing to the table going to make their lives easier? Is what you're bringing to the table going to make their jobs easier? Is what you're bringing to the table going to make their systems easier? Is it going to save them money? What problems are you solving, yo? And the results, what are they actually going to be looking at the end of a quarter, at the end of the year when they're done working with you? That's what they want to see by solving these problems. Companies don't care usually how much things cost. They want problems eliminated. Are you bringing to the table things that will bring elimination to any hiccups the company might be facing right now without wasting their time, money, effort, and any resources that they might have? So the more clear and specific you get on the details, the easier it will be for you to actually create a list of ideal clients for you to reach out to them. And guess what? Each and every one of these things is listed for you on LinkedIn before we even start any marketing of sorts. You can literally go and find out how many people are in that market, that you need to reach out to. I'll tell you one thing for nothing. There's 875 businesses that are earning between 200,000 to 2 million, as of 2020 in Australia right now. 825,000. If I just get 1% of those, my business will be profitable and enjoyable. That's all I need. So I have to be specific, and I have to literally know who I'm targeting, because not everyone is my customer. Yes, there's 25 million people in Australia, but not all of them need SEO, bruh. That was a good one. If you're taking notes, just write that down. Not everyone is gonna want what you buy, what you're selling. All right. So if you're gonna be spraying and praying with mass emails targeting vast groups of people, anyone with pulse, you can imagine why nobody's responding to your emails. You're probably sending hundreds of emails without getting as much as, hey, thank you so much for reaching out, because they're not personalized enough. But your emails will target a hyper-focused niche if you know who your ideal target audience is, or who you need to reach out to within a business. And once you've figured out that person, clarify your message. Because you're not just going to show up at this person, right? You've done all the work to discover who they are, their problems. You've done all the work to find them. How are you going to say hi? How are you going to introduce yourself? How are you going to make it known to them that you exist? Because once you've got clear on who your ideal client is, you need to write messaging that actually attracts them. You need to sprechen Sie in a podcast that they can listen to at 13 minutes, even if you haven't said anything of note, but they're following through because you know why? You're giving value to them at every stop, at every moment that you show up in their newsfeed. So now that you know these people, what gets their attention? What actually keeps them up at night? Because experts who can actually solve their problems and get results is who they're paying attention to right now. Who are they listening to within your industry? So your messaging has to be built around that. And let me tell you something. One easy way for you to actually find out how to create magnetic messaging is to look at your competitors, look at their reviews. What are their customers saying about their work? What are the customers saying about their products? What are the customers saying about the service delivery? What are the customers saying about whatever conversions that they're doing with them? And use the exact words that the customers are saying, because these people have paid money. These people are out there in the marketplace paying money, and that's how they explain their problem. I'll give you an example. If one day you get lucky to meet me or see a photo of me, which I'm trying to make as scarce as possible, both photos, you can see them online. Google Prosper Taravinga images, you find a smiling photo of me. But you notice that with my smile, okay, I've got a really big gap on my teeth, okay? And at some point, I'm going to maybe want that fixed because it's getting wider and wider, With age, it's not, closing down. So, obviously, there's a dental practice on my way to our shopping center in the area that I live in, all right? And they've got a sign outside that says new patients welcome. All right, so I know at some point I'm going to need some dental work done, but I don't associate myself or identify as being a patient. So they are using words that I don't identify with, looking for people like me. Can you see the disconnect? So can you imagine if you're sending out emails out there and you're disconnected in how the people actually explain or express the problems that they're facing? You need to know your ideal customer, bro. So each executive that you're going to be reaching should feel like, wow, this person is speaking to me directly and my needs. Like for real. You need to be able to answer this question. I help people who? To solve what problem? So they can see what results? Why choose me? Let's break down the formula a little bit, okay? You need to be able to fill out this thing. Who do you serve? What problem do you solve for those people? And what result can they expect after working with you? And why should they choose to work with you? So your statement, even if you do, networking, you should be able to say, I help who to solve what problem so they can see what results. And why choose you? This formula is so effective because it actually covers everything executives want to know before they're willing to engage with you. Who do you serve? What problem do you solve? What result do they get? And why should they work with you? And when you begin reaching out to them and they see your magnetic message, they'll be more receptive to you. You know why? Because you're speaking to them. You're directing your message at the exact problem that they need fixing. They can get their promotion if they work with you. That's what they want. So you got to be clear. You got to be specific. So a clear, specific, magnetic message actually opens up doors for a lot more conversations. And one thing you should be doing is direct outreach. Now that you've created this message, you know who you want to target. You've created this magnetic message. It's time for you to actually start reaching out to these people. Nobody's just going to come and knock on your house's door and say, yep, we've seen what you're doing. Your goal with your outreach isn't to make an immediate sale. It's to create relationships. The sales come later. You know why? Because people do business with those that they know, like, and trust. Just make sure that you've identified your market, you've clarified your message, and give that message to as many fitting people as possible. Because your primary goal is to simply get a response. Even if somebody says no, that's a response. You now know who not to sell to. So I also, when you get a chance to come and speak to me, we teach consultants and coaches, the whole marketing engine. It's a proven system for you to actually message executives to get a response. Even if you get a response like 0, that's a response enough. Here's an example of a message that we might actually sell. The subject might be new stats for ABC Incorporated. And then you'd be like, hi, congratulations on the launch of your new product. The big focus for many of the CEOs that I work with is maybe lead generation, consolidating their staff so that they, work together a lot more. So I've pulled together the latest data on lead generation, and I thought you'd find it interesting. That's what they're looking for, data, because, they're working with a lot of numbers. They want to appear intelligent. All right. Or if you have done a report on their website, you can literally put yourself on Loom and record yourself. Notice what this message does. It's different from mass marketing email because you've been specific about the very problem that they need fixing. And also, what you're doing before you've even started the conversation, you're sharing relevant information with the buyer that they'll find interesting. Be of value. Lead with value. Give us, get in this game. It's got nothing to do with your services or your business. Instead, you're just providing them with genuine value. And you know this. We get paid in direct proportion to the value that we bring to the marketplace. And again, your goal is just to solicit a response. You just want them to say, yeah, send it over. And once they respond to you, you can start having a conversation with them. And this is where all that you've been working to do behind the scenes, your thought leadership, your expertise, you want to bring it to the table before you ask for the sale. Because if you want to make your direct outreach message much more effective, write and share thought leadership content. Give them ammunition to want more from you. Because if they can think, oh my God, if this person is giving so much stuff for free, imagine what we will get when we actually start working with them. Because thought leadership content demonstrate your knowledge and your expertise, and it actually helps your ideal clients to understand and solve their own problems before they've engaged you. Remember, when you then come into their business, there's going to be a bit of a shift, and there's egos that are going to be involved. So you want to show that you can literally help them by actually helping them. And it's the most powerful way for you as a coach, a consultant, to actually demonstrate your authority. And it also helps you to sell without selling. Remember, people like buying stuff, but they don't like being sold to. So it actually demonstrates that you can provide value. Oh, I just banged onto the microphone here. It demonstrates that you can provide value without even directly speaking to your prospect. Like example, that data outreach message that I shared with you earlier. And it turned into thought leadership content because people are always seeking for all these different, data points and nuances just so they can optimize the systems that they already have. And this data can come from your own surveys or your conversations or just by looking at their website and what it is that they're doing. Or since you're a consultant who's already working with other people in their industry, you already know what other companies are doing. Just tell them that. And the powerful approach is to pull this data and actually make sense, for the world around them, not necessarily just giving them numbers, etc., etc. And start having meaningful conversations with, all the prospects that you have. Because if you know your stuff, if you're an expert, know it, but then understand what your customer needs, what your client needs. The goal of the past 20 or so minutes, I see it's 23 minutes now, is just to get your ideal client to get on a call with you. That's it. Whichever way it is, get them on a call with you so that you can personalize the whole process a lot further. And once you're on a call with them, this is when you get to learn a little bit more about them, their business, their problems, their goals, and whether you're there to help or not. What most consultants and coaches get wrong, about these conversations is they think it's a pitch fest. They think it's a time for you to pitch your services. When you invite somebody for a consultation call, listen, you are fact finding. You are looking for a product fit. You're seeing if your service can actually be integrated in what they're already doing, or if there's a few tweaks that can then happen. You know? And the way I approach this is very different. Pitching comes at the very end. You do not pitch until you've provided enough value. And that's it's something that we teach in my business. And you will notice if you come around and have a consultation with me, because I want to see if there's a product fit. I want to see if there's business compatibility. How many times do we get people coming in and then they fake it? During the conversation, and when we then go into their business, we notice they haven't created any of the content. They don't even have any thought leadership that we need to create, and that just wastes everybody else's time. The first 80% of that conversation should be about your client, nothing to do with you, about the client. Can you help them? Do they need what you've got? So this is when you ask questions like, what's the number one priority of your business this financial year? And you'll be like, many companies in this market are currently facing an issue. You want to show that you know about the industry that you're also facing, and show them that they are not alone. And the other thing that you need to know is, of what value is it for them to fix that problem and get your solution? And you need to also highlight to them what would happen if they don't fix this. How much money are they leaving on the table? At the end of the day, I really want that you get it right. It's not easy selling to executives. There's so much work that needs to happen. So if you're just relying on cold calling potential clients and having them hang up in your face, imagine all the work that you need to have done prior to actually having that call. That they have made time for. Or maybe you're just out there sending hundreds of emails without even getting as much as, hey, thank you so much for reaching out. You hear me say this a lot. It needs to be repeated. So many people are wasting thousands of ad spend without generating any qualified leads because they haven't done the homework. They haven't done the thought leadership that needs to happen. They haven't put in the work, no skin in the game. They haven't even identified the target market that they need to reach out to. They haven't even figured out what these people's problems are. They haven't even figured out the result that they're bringing into the table. I want you to picture your own credit card right now. And if you receive a credit card statement or a receipt every end of the month, do you not look at all the lines to see what it is that you're paying for? Half of the time, when people cannot explain your line on their credit card slip, they will make sure they remove that. And that's a fact. That's the reason why people don't stick with you. That's the reason why people, cancel with you all the time and they don't pay, stay, and refer, because you haven't given enough value for them to actually stand for your business when the truth comes. Or on the day of reckoning, when the credit card bill shows up, can they defend your line on their credit card statement? That's one thing you need to fight for. You got to fight for your right to be on that invoice. Got to fight for your right to be on the invoice. To be on the invoice. Fight for your right to be on the invoice, bruh. Fight for your right to be on the invoice, sis. Who do you serve? What problem do you solve for them? What result are you creating for them? Why should they choose you over the competition? And if you get that right, because this formula can be so effective, you can use it anywhere you're going to be going. All right? I help who? To solve what problem so they can see what results, and why is it safe and smart for them to work with you. And when you start reaching out to these people, your primary goal is to simply get a response. Even if you get a bad response like, sorry, we're busy right now, right, that gives you ammunition to reach out to them a little bit later on and say, hey, listen, you told me that you were not ready at the beginning of the financial year, but right now it's almost Christmas. Maybe it's time for us to look at that. So, I mean, this is the end, of a series, 2-part series that I created to help you, generate leads, especially from executives, and how it's different from a B2C perspective. And if you want help mastering the art of selling to executives so you can literally build a predictable, profitable, strategic coaching or consulting business, I want you to reach out to me, all right? I've got a breakthrough call that I give out to people. And I promise I'm not going to be yelling at you. You know what I mean? We'll sit there, look at your business, and check out what you've been doing, what's been working, what's working with Keep, what's not working with Ditch, okay? And we'll work hands-on with you to literally develop a strategic plan. And then we're going to deep dive and work through, your ideal client clarity. And then we look at your strategic messaging, we look at your fees, your pricing, your business model optimization, and then I'll actually help you set up a marketing engine and lead generation system so you can consistently attract ideal clients that pay, stay, and refer. Wouldn't that be nice? Bye for now.
Thank you for joining us today. If you have any questions, let's continue the conversation in the Live Long Digital community. Become a Live Long Digital community member today. This community is for ambitious entrepreneurs and small business owners with the drive to take control of the future of their businesses and achieve huge success without stress and overwhelm. As you heard, Prosper can help you by teaching you marketing strategies that work. So, look no further than the Live Long Digital community of entrepreneurs and highly successful business owners. Join our community today. Find us on www.community.livelongdigital.com.au. Network with other driven entrepreneurs and find the expert guidance you need to take your business to the next level. www.community.livelongdigital.com.au